See you, Millie.
Good evening, everyone. It is 5:30, so we're going to get started. So we're going to start with a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance by one of our students, Ava Davis.
Will everybody please pause for a moment of silence? And will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, welcome, everybody. I want to say special thanks to Ms. Bradford and her team for hosting us tonight. It's always a pleasure to get out in the schools. And this meeting is preceded by a great event where we dedicated this auditorium to a former principal, Don Goff. So we're excited about that. So as chairman of the Cleveland City Board of Education, I'm committed to running an orderly meeting, an efficient meeting, treating everyone with respect. Board members will be provided equal voice for all matters, and they should communicate to the director of schools for addressing his staff. A couple of reminders for parents in the community. Board of Education policies can be found on the clevelandschools.org website. When there, you can click on menu and select the board policy manual under the Board of Education section. Our meetings are not public forum. However, the board has made accommodations for city resident, Cleveland City Schools employee, or parent, guardian of a Cleveland City Schools student to address the board via a couple ways. Those ways are demonstrated in or explained in Board Policy 1.404, which includes two options along with the requirements listed. Those options being appearing before the board via pre-meeting requests and addressing the board on agenda items via same-day requests. And those are the way that you can communicate in our meetings. Prior to the meeting, there was a document laying in the back for sign-in, and there were no requests for public comments at this meeting. So we're going to continue on with the agenda. Before us, we have the consent agenda, and board members, you have that listed there for all of the items there. And I want to also note that we're adding three policies, 1.492, 1.483.
No. They're field trips.
I'm sorry, field trips, yes, I got that confused. Field trips, where the request ID was 1492, 1483, and 1494, and those were sent to you prior to this meeting. So, want to entertain a motion to for the consent agenda, if there's none that you would like, if there's no items you'd like to remove.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor of proceeding with the consent agenda as provided, including the three additional trips, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries. Next on the agenda is our regular agenda, and we're going to start with the director's update. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Russell Dyer for this section of the agenda.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. Good to be here tonight. And we started this night off with a special celebration, the Don Goff celebration for the naming of this auditorium. And I want to thank Dr. Elliott and the staff here at Stewart for all the great work they did in the committee. And thank you to the school board for approval of that name back in April. So that was neat to do that, and we'll get the name outside on the wall fairly soon. So that was very exciting. I want to say a special thank you to our staff, our students, our families for a truly great beginning to our school year. You know, we're really about a month into the school year at this point, and we've had a strong start. It's nice to go out to our schools to see the great work happening both in the classroom and the cafeterias and the hallways, on the buses, and a lot of work is being accomplished in the first month of school. So I'm very proud of the work that's going on. I look forward to getting out tomorrow with our academic team, visiting classrooms, seeing some of the great work in more detail, and I'll report back on that a little bit later. Earlier today, we had the opportunity to award our very first Cleveland Blue Star Award. The Cleveland Blue Star Award is awarded to an individual who is nominated through our website. We have a nomination process this time around, this first month, For the first ever award, we had over 50 nominations come in from staff, from families, from students, from people in the community. Happy to announce that Dell Halfacre, who is running sound for us today, and video production, was actually the very first Cleveland Blue Star Award winner. So we had the opportunity today to go to his classroom and shock and surprise him a little bit by walking in and having a little fun in front of he and his students there. So that was really neat to do. Earlier, last week actually, the BCPEF Lead Retreat took place. Had the opportunity to go and visit with both the Cleveland and Bradley County folks that are part of the BCPEF Lead Retreat, our Lead Fellows this year. We have one in the back right now, Jake Garcia, so he's back there. We have 4 others, I believe, that are part of Cleveland City Schools, and I think the county has 6 or 7 that are part of that as well. They had their kickoff retreat. Their year has started, so they're going to be learning a lot about leadership this year from individuals around the community and from some very important and interesting discussions that they'll be having. Great to have them, and look forward to seeing what goes on there. TSBA Fall District meeting was last week. I want to thank Andrea for all the work that she did behind the scenes, getting boxes and boxes of M&Ms ready and getting the gift bags out. And thank you to school board members for a lot of your donations that you went out and sought for your work that night. From everyone I talked to, the event went really well, and I had a lot of comments from other school board members from across the state and superintendents across this area anyway. They were very impressed by the work that went into that and the facilities. So thank you for everything that you did to pull that off. And Carolyn, congratulations on your election back to being our district representative. So great for that.
I must tell you what my son said. He said, "Mom, they're going to start saying that you're too old, just like they say that Joe Biden is too old."
Well, you're out walking every morning at 4 a.m. I think you've got me beat at least on that. So you're doing quite well. Just a little bit on class size update and where we are. That was a big point of discussion last year, so I wanted to give the board an update tonight. As of this morning, we have 5,675 students that are enrolled in Cleveland City Schools. That's 64 students over the same date last year. That changes every single day by a little bit here and there. Our K through 12 average, you can see those numbers in front of you. You know, one of our big goals for K through 3 was to keep that number below 18, and I'm proud to say we are. And our numbers are looking very strong across our core classes. You can see those averages on the screen in front of you. And we're really aiming to do that. We took that seriously as a community and as a school board. You voted for that in the budget, and I wanted to show you that the fruits of that labor have come true. And thanks to Kelly Kaiser and the team of principals that we have that have hired some really, really strong teachers this year. And I know those smaller numbers are going to really help them do their job better. So appreciate that. I just want to make sure you had that update. So with that, that's my update for tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Dyer. And I'm going to turn it back to you for Spotlight.
Spotlight, okay. Well, we are privileged to be at Stewart Elementary School tonight, and the spotlight for tonight is going to be Kim Bradford, and she's going to be updating us on some of the great work happening here at this fantastic school.
Stewart, we've started the year strong, you all. We have 2 programs that I want to talk to you all about today. One is entitled Raider Ready. You can see a portrait or a poster of Raider Ready right outside this door, but it is our efforts here at Stewart to prepare our elementary students for secondary school, so middle school and also high school. There are 4 components that we focus on through our Raider Ready program. Those 4 areas are academic readiness, our STEM program, learning leaders, and also 21st century kind of skills. You saw 2 of those components live tonight as students from our STEM department. They came through and they were taking pictures and those sorts of things. We had them to come out tonight for our Don Goff Auditorium dedication to capture those moments. But then you also saw our learning leaders. They were ones that were greeting at the door. And so these 2 programs, they were up and running as they have started off strong for us. This past Friday, we held our family selection parties. And I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about what that is. Here on our wall, you see flags that are hanging. These are our lead-worthy traits for our school. We have 8 of them. All of our students in our school, they are broken up into 8 different groups, or what we call our families. So each month, these groups or these families, they have the opportunity to lead within our school. So this month, we're focusing in on empathy. Those students who are in the empathy family, they are the ones that are leading within the school. You may see them leading on our Bulldog TV. You may see them leading on morning announcements. They may be the individuals who are leading at morning meetings or greeting at the door. We believe that each student should be given the opportunity to lead, and this is one way that we can make sure that that happens. Each month, students at our school, they lead throughout the month, and we want just to spotlight those students throughout the time, and you can just kind of see those posters or those flags that hang there, and students, they're very excited whenever their month comes. So here are just some pictures of some of those things that are happening, our selection parties, our essential teachers that led our students and launched them into the month, and this is just a little spotlight happening here at Stewart. Thank you. Any
Thank you.
questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bradford. All right, the next item on the agenda is first reading of policies, and I believe Matthew Coleman is handling that tonight.
Yes, and I'm going to kind of clump these probably into 2 or 3 groups if I can, because there's a big chunk of them having to do with charter schools. But the first set of these prior to the, that got loud, prior to the charter school section, these all came from recommendations by TSBA, and in some areas they were clearing up some language such as chairman versus chair of the board. So as we go down these, and I guess they're going to pop them up, but 1.200, that's one of those clerical changes, really changing from chairman to chair. Any questions on that one? 1.201, most of this again was cleaning up the language and recommendations by TSBA.
Matthew, I have a
Yes,
question
ma'am.
about that one. In the discussion, did they, there was one that stood out to me. They struck through the line about keeping the minutes. I was curious why that was taken out. It said that it's in line, it's on page 2, lines 1 and 2.
I think, and let me get Jeff involved in this, but I think that's because it's written somewhere else. Is that?
Okay.
Previously on page 1, I think it's line 23, it talks about keeping and preserving all of its records, receive all reports required by the board. It was just the way the language was read, and that's what the suggestion was. But if you feel like we need to amend that, then we can. But that was the language there was keeping the records in exchange for the minutes.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that? 1.204, I think they just struck that one partial sentence about National Board Associations. Please.
I just noticed that in that strike through, they struck out the School Board Association as well. So it sounds like convention held by the state when it's actually the convention held by the State School Board Association. Does that make sense?
I think that's a fair revision, yeah? Is that right?
Right. Their emphasis was that the state conferences that are held is regarding like TSBA is one of those, but
Okay.
other state conferences, so it includes other conventions that might be related to legal or policies of that nature. So it was generic in that way.
Okay.
Okay.
1.205, 1.3.
Sorry.
Jump in.
Question where it says employ and dismiss all tenured teachers. Is that, I looked, is that at 5.117? Is that, so that's just taking that out of there and keeping it in one place?
Yes, exactly. It's under the Section 5, the one you probably referenced. I don't remember that exact number, but yes, it was referenced there. Also, it's kind of tricky. We looked this up, the way the law still reads in a couple of them, such as 5.117. It's under that for the director of schools, and then this one is striked out because it's included in Section 5.
Okay.
So, and then the wording that was recommended was to put in clarity about just the procedural and policies that the board is working with as far as cooperating with the director of schools.
Any other questions or concerns? 1.304. 1.8011. We'll move into these charter schools. 1.900. Please.
No, I jumped ahead. Next one, sorry.
Okay. Anything else on that one? 1.903. Go ahead.
No, I had one about 901.
Oh, okay.
I think I know the answer, but in line 19, it talks about the deadline for submitting things, and it refers to Central Time. I'm assuming that's because the state board of, or the Department of Education is in Nashville, and they go by Central Time.
That's
And I
correct.
just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure
Central
that
Time
was-
would be the legal time for that. That's right.
.902. 903. 904. 905. 906. 1.8011. And 6.300. If there are no questions, then we would recommend those policies be updated accordingly.
All right, so we have a list of first reading of policies as noted with Matt Coleman's discussion. I'd like to entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed. All right, the next item on the agenda is our strategic plan focus. I'm going to turn that over to Dr. Dyer.
Okay, and I'm going to ask Kelly Bender to come to the microphone at this point. This month's strategic plan focus is elementary, and Ms. Bender is all things elementary, along with other items on the docket there. But tonight, she's got her elementary hat on, and we'll let her share and answer any questions you may have.
All things elementary. Boy, I could talk for hours on all things elementary because we have so much going on. But I did want to just give you a few highlights that reflect on the strategic plan and some of the goals that you had for elementary education. The first area that we want to look at, well, you all want, one of the strategic plan states that we develop a strong instructional program aligned to a viable curriculum. And we're really excited about the things that are happening in the ELA world. This past year, we saw a growth at the end of the year kindergarten data from 2022 to 2023 in all areas, in overall reading, in letter sounds, in phoneme segments, and in word reading fluency. We feel like there are several reasons for that. Number one, it was a year that we were totally uninterrupted, so we were able to really get down to the business of teaching children. But also, we have a very, very strong foundational skills Sounds First program with CKLA. So one of the reasons we went with CKLA, but at the end of the year, last year, we saw higher levels of achievement than we had seen in several years from our students. So that let us know those kindergarten kids are going to first grade this year just a little bit further ahead than the group the year before. So we're seeing some great gains there. We're really excited about that, and I can't wait to see what happens this next year. You went too fast for me there, Dale, but it's okay. Increase in second grade students that met or exceeded proficiency achievement levels increased by 5%. Overall, our second grade students made a 5% gain all the way across the board in the state test. So we felt really, really good about what was happening in kindergarten. We feel really good about what's happening in second grade. We were sending those second grade students to third grade, so we feel really positive about the things that are going to be happening for us in the ELA world. In the third grade cohort, percentage of students that met or exceeded proficient achievement levels increased by 12%. So if you take where the students were last year as compared to where they are this year, entering that third grade cohort, we saw a 12% gain. So that made us really, really happy with what we're doing, makes us feel like our teachers are really focused in, our kids are really focused in, and the curriculum is doing exactly what we want it to do. We also saw an increase in grades 3 through 5 in students that met or exceeded proficiency achievement levels by 3%. So in the ELA world, we have a lot to celebrate. We still have a lot to do. We have a lot of areas to grow in, but we feel like we're on the right track. In math, as you can see, we adopted SAVAS last year. That's our high-quality instructional material. So we went through the process last year. You all approved that, and we are implementing that at all grades K through 5 right now. We're also partnering with instruction partners to provide focused professional development for teachers and the administrative staff during this implementation of high-quality instructional materials. We've been last week and then again this week, we're going around to all elementary schools. We're doing some check-ins with their leadership team, and then we're visiting some classrooms, and then we're just coming back and talking about what we've seen, and then we're making plans for our next round of professional development based on some of those things. Another area that you wanted us to focus on was to ensure that identified STEAM components are taught in an innovative and cohesive fashion at all levels, and all students participate in STEM or STEAM activities during their related arts class right now. So we're getting a really good foundation in elementary with STEAM and STEM. Blythe Bauer has received the STEM designation, and currently this year, Arnold, Mayfield, Stewart, and Candies Creek are pursuing the STEM designation this fall. So they will be applying for STEM designation. We'll see what happens. Ross and Yates are on the calendar to continue gathering information and building their program this year, and then they will apply for that the STEM designation next school year. Yes, ma'am.
What is exactly the STEM designation? How would you define that?
It reminds me a lot, Ms. Pesterfield, of when we used to go through accreditation, the school accreditation process. There is a set of standards that they have to do, that they have to show competency in. They have to show how students are involved in STEM, how teachers are using the STEM and the STEAM standards in the regular classroom activities, they have to prove all of those things. So they're gathering artifacts right now, and they have to submit lessons where they're using those standards in their classrooms and in their lab, and then they have a team that will come in and evaluate the school and see if they're really doing what they say they're doing in the plan. So it's very extensive, and the middle school and the high school already have that designation. Blythe Bower joined that group last year, and then the other elementary schools are following suit this year.
Who makes up that team that comes in?
It's from the state STEM.
State?
State Department of Education will send in a team to evaluate that. Mr. Wittenbarger is leading that charge for all of us at the elementary level. So, okay, the next part was capturing kids' hearts, and we continue to focus on capturing kids' hearts curriculum. Morning meetings are held daily with an emphasis on lead-worthy curriculum, which focuses on character traits. You see these character words right here. That's kind of an example of what's going on with capturing kids' hearts. We are celebrating that we had 3 elementary schools that were chosen as showcase schools for capturing kids' hearts, which that, according to some of the people with capturing kids' hearts, it's very unusual that you have a middle school, a high school, and 3 of your elementary schools that have already received that recognition. And that was Arnold Memorial, Stewart Elementary, and Blythe Bower Elementary. So those are really cool things. The last thing that we were focusing on is to maintain a seamless career exploration program for K through 12 students, including the implementation for a Center for Advanced Professional Studies. That's the CAPS program that works at the high school. And how we're doing that, we have a program called Major Clarity that is being used in the elementary school. The school counselors and the related arts teachers are implementing that program. The school counselors are teaching the first 3 modules of that, and in those 3 modules, the students in 4th and 5th grade are doing a self-assessment and looking at really a career inventory, and it prints out a report of skills and careers that they might be interested in pursuing. And then the STEM teacher and the related arts people are helping them explore some of those curriculums. And then school counselors will continue to focus on classroom lessons and school-wide events that focus on college and career ready and career exploration. So that's it in a nutshell. Is there anything you would like to ask me about elementary education? Yes, Mrs. Ingram.
It was at the very beginning. You said pardoning for instruction. What was that? It was at the very beginning of your presentation.
I think instructional partners is what you're
Instruction partners, yes. That's a group that we have contracted with. They're working as consultants for us, and they're coming in to help us as we're walking through the classrooms. They're working with us as we're working on our educational framework for ELA and math.
Where is it a group from some school or?
It's a consulting group that we're working with. They come from all over the country. We're working with a gentleman that lives in Maine, and they were here 3 days last week and then flew back home, and then they'll be back here again on Thursday of this week to join us as we go to the middle school.
And what kind of things are they doing?
Well, Mrs. O'Brien, do you want to come and share some of your knowledge with instruction partners, or do you want me just to keep going there? We'll tag team on this, okay? Mrs. O'Brien has worked extensively with them as they're helping us develop a plan, a curriculum plan that we're implementing across the district K through 12. But they're helping us look, Mrs. Ingram, at how we are taking the curriculum that we have right now, the SAVIS curriculum. We're looking at that, where teachers are planning collaboratively. They're helping us break those lessons apart and look at really what the instructional focus of that lesson should be, what the outcomes that we want from that lesson, and if we're running into areas of that we might need a little more support in. You know, how are we going to be able to work with some of these skills and some of these deficit areas that we know we're not the only ones that are having problems with them? What is your area of expertise, and how can you help us be able to bridge some of those gaps?
And they do this after school with the teachers or before, or?
Yes, what we've done they've done a lot of work with us. And they spent some time with our administrators this summer, and they trained our administrators in what are really good, strong teaching moves that you would see in the classroom, and really good ways to see curriculum being implemented in the classrooms, and how the principal can become the instructional leader in that building and help these teachers. They've worked with our instructional facilitators or our coaches in helping them break down lessons and develop protocols and procedures for us as we're working in grade level teams and working with those collaborative teams. So they've helped us do a lot of the background work to be able to take this out into the buildings and implement it. And what they're doing with us right now is they're helping us as we walk through the buildings to really see the good things that are happening and be able to focus on the good things that are happening, but how are we going to grow the areas that we need to attack and to grow.
But I would add, they're not telling us what to do.
No, they are not.
They're a consultant group. We make it happen. It's our final decision on what we do, how we implement what they're talking about, what they see from different areas, and then we take it from there, decide as a group for Cleveland City Schools, what do we think is the best instructional practice to move forward with ELA or math, working with our instructional coaches, working with our principals and so forth. So we retain ownership of all that. It's just the consulting group on the outside that shares practices that they see in other areas that may help us. The middle school and high school, they've been helping in those areas for the last few years, and the specific areas where they've been consulting, we've seen significant growth. So we want to see that can continue K through 12 as a thought partner with us.
So,
I will say that the teachers have been very receptive, and the administrators have been very receptive, because Dr. Dyer is right. We have developed this plan. They've kind of have pointed us in directions we might want to explore, but it's our plan, and there are several things that we've kind of tweaked a little bit just to make it our own.
So, just to be clear, this consulting group is the same group that we bought curriculum from?
No, it is not. It is
It's a
not.
different group.
This is a group called Instruction Partners, all right? And they work with lots of different curriculums, but they are very familiar with what we're doing. In fact, they have the logins, the teacher logins, so they can log in to see the lessons that the teachers are going to be teaching and prepare for all of that. So they have access to all that, and they work with a lot of different school systems that have selected the same curriculums that we're working with.
And they're based in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So the groups, I've known them for a long time, but they're based here in Tennessee.
Is this for specific subjects or grades or all subjects?
What they're working with us right now on, Ms. Pesterfield, is they're working with math is our primary focus right now, because we have a brand new curriculum, but we will be taking some of the procedures that we are using in math and use those with the ELA as we look at ELA, continue to look at
What
ELA.
grade math? All grades?
Yes, all grades.
All
We're
grades, okay.
we're working with them K through 12.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Did anybody else have any questions? All right. So next on the agenda, we have our student representative, an update from her, Ava Davis.
Good evening, everybody. So, as we all know, all schools are officially back in session. That's been a pretty easy flow back into the school year. Our athletics have all started back up at Cleveland. So we've got our volleyball team going, girls soccer, cross country, and golf, and also our football team. All of our the games have been going great. Our student section has been really cheering on everybody on. The cheer and dance team have been performing at all the games, and the band will be performing their competition piece at some point this month, which is really exciting. They always do a great job. Also, it's College Apps Month, so all of our seniors, or not all of them, but a good group of our seniors went to Cleveland State to learn more about different colleges in Tennessee that they could attend. The theater officially had their auditions for WCKY, and the shows will be on the 28th, 29th, 30th, and the 1st of September. Our Cleveland Athletics app is officially launched. It's really, really cool. I downloaded it on my phone, and it's so much fun because I like to go through and shop, and I'm like, hey, Mom, I need this. We also have our after-school tutoring, which will begin, I think, next Monday. So it happens every Monday through Thursday in the library, and anybody can go to that. Our homecoming game this month, September 22nd against Red Bank. So that's going to be really fun. And then, of course, the homecoming dance will be after. And that's really all that's going on at Cleveland High School right now. But, yeah.
Anybody have any questions for Ava? I have one question. With the latest facility updates that we did, the front and the CTE entrance, any thoughts from students about those changes?
I think for the most part what I've heard is just that it's nice to have something that looks so nice in our school. It just revibrates our attitudes, I think.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda, we have site committee update. Do we have anything from the site committee?
I just wanted to share that we had a site committee meeting, and we got lots of updates on summer projects and some things to be considering and thinking about that we will bring up again and have larger discussions on at our capital retreat on October 6th. So.
Thank you, Krista. Now we'll turn to Carolyn. Any legislative updates that you want to share?
Well, I don't think we have anything other than the things we heard last week when we had our meeting. I will be attending a meeting in September, at the end of September, the fall board meeting. So I'll probably have something in October. I also want to echo what Dr. Dyer said to Andrea and the people she had helping get things together last week. I think things went really well, and so thank you for you and your committee. That's it.
Thank you, Carolyn. All right, any other comments or new business that we want to discuss?
Yeah, I just wanted to take a minute, if we could, to look at the calendar for our meetings. I know there's rationale for why the meetings are scheduled the way they are, but I just had a couple of questions about why we were having 2 meetings in some months and not any meetings a month. Could you explain why we're not having a meeting in March and why we're having 2 in February and 2 in May?
Talking about school board meetings or?
Yes, school board meetings.
I'd have to go back and look and see.
I assume it has something to do with spring break and.
It may.
And those types of things, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, let me look at that real quick and pull up the calendar. I have to pull up the master calendar so I can look and see exactly what we're looking at, so. One here, yes, let me go back over there to move too fast. So March 4th would be our regular board meeting. The TOS legislative conference meeting is that evening, so that's why we moved that back. But you as a board can still meet that evening. If I'm not present for that, that's something that can be done, or I can zoom in as needed. But that's why that date was moved, but the board has final say on anything like that.
No, I just wanted some
Yeah,
clarification as to
so
why.
that's why that was done that way, but of course, board, you set the date you want to set as far as that goes.
And then we've got 2 board meetings in May, but we still have on the Google Calendar a meeting in June, on June 3rd. So we've got a meeting on May 30th and then June 3rd. Is the meeting on May 30th supposed to replace the one in June 3rd?
That would be, yes, correct.
Okay, because that makes, I may be the only one, but that makes 2 board meetings in May, 2 lunch and learns in May, plus all of the other
Yeah.
end of school graduation
Right.
events in May. That might be a bit much, and
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was something we wanted to
Yeah,
look
the
at.
June meet, I mean, it could be middle of June, end of June. It's really up to the school board. These are suggestions that we've put out, but the dates, as far as that goes. can be
Was
set
that
by
based on the email we got today with the list? That may have been today, a couple of days. With that
Yes.
list, I really hadn't looked at it that close yet, but I like where your thoughts go, and I'm gonna take a look at it. And
Okay, I just, if I'm the only one that is concerned, then that's fine. But
Yeah.
I just thought I'd throw that out there in case anybody else was trying to fit stuff in their calendar.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at your calendar and let us know, June 10th, and we'd have a meeting then. I mean, it really doesn't matter to me as far as that goes. It's just, those are dates we put out there, and then the board can decide as far as what you want to do as far as that goes.
So I guess the next steps, before the end of the week, if you want to make some changes, send them to Dr. Dyer and Andrea.
Yeah.
And then we'll come with a recommendation at the next meeting for any changes. Does that work? Anybody opposed to that? All right. Anything else we need to talk about? We're under an hour, so we got,
When is our October retreat?
October 6th.
It's a Friday.
Yeah, that's the Facilities Oversight Committee
Yeah.
focused
Yeah.
retreat. Yeah.
We could talk about those dates at our retreat even.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right, all in favor of adjourning this meeting, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, at 6:11, we adjourn this meeting.
That was quick.
That's part of why I'm trying.